While each participant on My 600 Pound Life faces the consequences of being overweight, some of the guests have a scary story to go along with their journey. Today, we take a look at some of the scariest stories on My 600 Pound Life. Be sure to watch this entire video as you won't want to miss out on what we have for you all today. Also, leave a like and subscribe to the channel to never miss a single video. That being said, let's get right into the list. Number 7. James King. When he arrived on the show, James King weighed in at a whopping 790 pounds. At the time, he was actually the heaviest person to ever be featured on the show. He also had a severe case of cellulitis, a painful skin infection. Additionally, King's family had made some huge sacrifices for him, including his daughter dropping out of school to care for him, and his father refinancing his home to get him to Houston. Now, James was someone who was very delusional about his current state, and it didn't really help out that his wife supported this from James. In fact, his wife would bring James high-calorie foods that he requested while he was in the hospital with Dr. Now for his weight loss plan. She was sneaking the food in behind Dr. Now's back. While he was in the hospital, James kept gaining weight very fast. Instead of losing weight, King actually weighed in at 840 pounds. Dr. Now stepped in as he knew what was going on, and even told James and his wife that he knew she was sneaking in food for him while James was in the hospital bed. Of course, James tried to play this off and even cussed out Dr. Now, stating he had no idea why he was gaining so much weight. Eventually, Dr. Now told him to leave if he wasn't willing to adhere to the program. Well, in his follow-up episode, things had not improved. Just recently, about a month ago, James King unfortunately passed away, and while an exact cause of death wasn't revealed, King had a history of health issues which may have contributed to his passing. And we can surely say that King's weight gains were not helpful in his case at all. While it's definitely a sad loss, we can't say that James was the nicest and most compromising guest on the show, as he was rude as could be. Number 6. Robert Bushell. Robert Bushell's situation on his episode of My 600 Pound Life was dire from the outset. It didn't take long for Dr. Now to discover that he not only weighed nearly 850 pounds, but that he also had an addiction to painkillers like Diluad. Pretty serious stuff. But after a rocky start, Bushell was able to finally get some control over his compulsive overeating habits. The Forked River, New Jersey resident had a lot of love on his side, including that of his mother and his fiancée, Catherine. With that support and a whole lot of work, Bushell managed to lose a significant amount of weight under Dr. Now's watchful care. Almost 350 pounds. If you include the surgical removal of a lymphedema mass. That's impressive. Unfortunately, the removal of the mass rendered Bushell depressed and longing for painkillers again. He even tore his stitches hoping to get more of them. Before the episode ended, Bushell passed away from a heart attack in November of 2017. Very sad story to say the least. Number 5. Schnee Murray. When viewers first met Schnee Murray on My 600 Pound Life, she was deeply sad about suffering through 2 miscarriages, and her story was definitely one that had people feeling bad for her. That experience can be extremely traumatic to not just the person who endures one, but her partner as well. Like many people on the show, Schnee started to gain drastic amounts of weight after she was sexually abused by her cousin at a young age. She turned to food as a way of comfort during these dark times. But there was hope, as Murray went to Dr. Now to help her get both her life and her weight back under control. But alas, she was unwilling and unable to stop compulsively overeating. And as you can all guess, this did not turn out too well. Despite her claims of gaining water weight, something Dr. Now pointed out was clearly not the case, Murray was never approved for weight loss surgery. Schnee continued to go against what Dr. Now said, eating countless foods and junks as she continued to gain weight. Well, she eventually ended up dropping out of the show and leaving Dr. Now altogether. Number 4. Nicole Lewis. At just 23 years of age, Nicole Lewis already weighed an unbelievable 680 pounds. She claimed she was way too big to even take care of her own kids, despite her efforts to try and lose weight. There was even a point where she was hosed down by her husband to bathe. That's how you know things were not going well. Although she tried, Nicole only got bigger. It was time to see Dr. Now. It had gotten to the point where she not only feared for her life, but feared for her kids growing up around her. When she first arrived on the show, Nicole had trouble walking around. She had to rely on her own mother and 2 kids in order to get anywhere. She was even too big to fit through the bathroom door in her house and had to use a portable toilet in her own room. But if that's not enough to motivate one to stop eating and gaining weight, She was caught eating a Big Mac and fries on her way to Houston to see Dr. Now. Dr. Now tried to tell her to stop and put Nicole on a very strict diet, hoping to help her lose 30 pounds for surgery. Well, Nicole definitely struggled. Amidst her and her husband's struggles to find a new job during her diet, the two resorted to eating cheeseburgers to help cope with their feelings. Well, things continued to go downhill from there, and it's safe to say that this contestant did not try at all. Number 3. Steve Asante. Steve Asante is most likely one of the most memorable guests to appear on My 600-Pound Life, mainly due to the controversies that took place during his time on the show. Steve was a morbidly obese man from Rhode Island. He appeared on the show alongside his twin brother, who actually also needed to lose weight. However, Steve became the face of the two due to his rebellion and rudeness toward the doctors, as well as his ongoing battle with drugs. Steve suffered a huge setback on the show after he was caught trying to obtain opioids while he was on the show. Well, he was surely kicked out of the weight loss program and forced into rehab for treatment. This would cause Steven to start gaining more weight as he reached a whopping 750 pounds. However, despite all this, he continued to try and persuade the doctors to allow him to get weight loss surgery, and somehow he was convincing enough to do so. But overall, he was definitely one of the worst rude patients to appear on the show for sure. Number 2. Bethany. 40-year-old Bethany started off her episode by stating that despite her weight and health issues, she just cannot sit down and do anything because she is a mom of 2 kids. But in her episode, we see her daughter putting on Bethany's socks as she sits down. She also relies on her 18-year-old, Isabella, to be the mother of the family around the clock. She cooks, cleans, shops, and takes care of Bethany's youngest daughter, Zoe. Despite doing basically everything, Isabella states that she would do anything for her mom because she loves her. Bethany even admits herself that she doesn't feel like a contributing mother to the family, as she is unable to do much herself. Well, you'd think this would be a wake-up call for Beth, but unfortunately, as we can see at the end of the episode, it doesn't appear she has done much to change herself. Number 1. Megan Davis's mother. 24-year-old Megan Davis lived with her mother, Donna. Donna cooks for her every morning and night, and pretty much cares for her every step along the way. However, it appears Donna may have been feeding Megan a bit too much considering her obesity. Donna knows that food is a comfort for her daughter, and simply wants her to be happy. But sometimes, it doesn't work out that way, especially when your daughter is fatally obese. She pretty much just lets her eat whatever she wants to eat. Well, you'd think things would get a little bit better after visiting Dr. Now. But as they review their diet at the dinner table, a week after her appointment, Donna asks Megan if she wants a little bit of bacon to go alongside her salad. Yes, you heard that right. Bacon. Later on, as Megan makes an effort to exercise and stick to her strict diet, she essentially points out that her mother has been making things even harder. Well, Dr. Now calls Donna out at the next appointment for enabling her daughter to cheat on his diet and making excuses for not losing any weight. After all this, things don't get better, as Megan's mother continues to order takeout fast food and allows Megan to eat unhealthily. I wonder what goes through this mom's head. Is it really that hard to help your daughter who's in danger of dying from obesity?